36,000 feet. That's the altitude at which commercial airliners typically cruise, a height that seems almost surreal when you think about it. That's roughly 7 miles straight up. Imagine standing on the ground and looking up at a point 7 miles above you. It's almost beyond comprehension. It's also about as high as a commercial airliner can fly. At this altitude, the air is so thin that it can barely support the weight of the aircraft. Up there, the air is thin, the temperature is brutal. We're talking about temperatures that can plummet to minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit or even lower. And the only thing standing between you and a very long fall is a whole bunch of engineering that you hope to hell works as advertised. Every bolt, every wire, every piece of metal has been meticulously designed and tested to withstand the harshest conditions. I've flown a lot for work. Over the years, I've logged thousands of miles in the air, crisscrossing continents and oceans. I've seen my share of weird stuff up there. From the mundane to the extraordinary, the skies have a way of surprising you. Turbulence that'd make a roller coaster enthusiast toss their cookies. The kind of turbulence that makes you grip your armrest and pray for it to end. Lightning strikes that light up the entire wing. It's both terrifying and mesmerizing to see nature's raw power so up close. Once, a flock of geese flew into the engine, which is exactly as messy as it sounds. The sudden jolt, the sound of the engine struggling, it's an experience you never forget. But nothing, and I mean nothing, compares to the feeling of utter helplessness that washes over you when a pilot gets on the intercom and says those 3 little words, "We have a problem." It's like a punch to the gut, leaving you breathless and anxious. Now, I'm not talking about your run-of-the-mill "we're out of Diet Coke" problem. Those are inconveniences, minor blips in an otherwise smooth journey. I'm talking about the kind of problem that makes your heart leap into your throat and your blood run cold. The kind of problem that makes you question everything you thought you knew about air travel. The kind of problem that, on this particular flight, presented itself as a sudden, deafening silence, followed by the captain's strained voice announcing the unthinkable. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking." The silence before the announcement is almost worse than the words themselves. "We have an issue with our fuel system." The words hang in the air, heavy and foreboding. "We are currently at 36,000 feet and we appear to be out of fuel." The gravity of the situation hits you like a ton of bricks. The silence that followed was heavier than 1,000 anvils. Every passenger, every crew member, everyone on that plane felt the weight of those words. The realization that you are miles above the earth with no fuel is a moment of pure, unadulterated fear. Inside the cockpit, the mood wasn't silent, but it was deadly serious. Captain Stevens, a veteran pilot with nerves of steel, had felt the engine sputter and die. First the left, then the right. His heart pounded, but his training kicked in. This wasn't a simulation. This was happening. "Confirm fuel situation," he barked to his first officer, a young man named Jackson, who was already on it. Jackson's face was pale, but his voice was steady as he confirmed their worst fear. The fuel gauges were bone dry. They were flying a multi-ton glider. "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday, this is Flight 127, do you copy?" Captain Stevens' voice was calm, controlled. He repeated their situation, location, and the number of souls on board. It was a distress call no pilot ever wants to make, a plea for help broadcast into the vast emptiness. Hundreds of miles below, air traffic controllers scrambled into action. Flight 127, a routine flight from Chicago to Los Angeles, had just become anything but routine. This was an emergency, and the clock was ticking. Back in the cabin, the initial shock gave way to a maelstrom of emotions. Fear, confusion, and a growing sense of dread rippled through the passengers. A baby cried, a man prayed, a young woman sitting next to me, her face ashen, clutched a rosary. I didn't know what to say, so I did the only thing I could think to do. I offered her a reassuring nod and a weak smile. She didn't see it, nobody did. We were all too busy staring death in the face. Section 5. Experts on the edge. "Fuel exhaustion at that altitude is incredibly rare," said Captain Sarah Evans, a former commercial pilot and aviation consultant, her voice tight with concern as she watched the drama unfold on live television. She had spent years in the cockpit navigating through countless flights and had never encountered such a dire situation. The aviation community was on edge, knowing that every second counted. She explained that modern aircraft are built with redundancy in mind. Multiple fuel tanks, cross-feeding mechanisms, and advanced monitoring systems are designed to prevent such crises. These systems are meticulously engineered to ensure that even if one component fails, others can compensate. Rigorous pre-flight checks make fuel exhaustion a statistical anomaly. Pilots and ground crew work in tandem, following strict protocols to ensure every flight is safe. These checks include verifying fuel levels, inspecting the integrity of the aircraft, and running through emergency procedures. But anomalies, as we were about to learn, do happen. Despite all the precautions, the unexpected can still occur, putting everyone on high alert. The control room was a hive of activity, with experts scrambling to find solutions. "The next few minutes are critical," Captain Evans continued, her eyes glued to the screen. Every decision made in the cockpit now could mean the difference between life and death. The tension was palpable, with everyone holding their breath. The crew will be trying to glide the plane as far as possible while looking for a suitable landing spot. Gliding without engine power requires immense skill and precision, and the pilots must remain calm under pressure. It's a high-stakes balancing act. The pilots must manage their altitude and speed perfectly to reach a safe landing zone. Every maneuver is critical, and the margin for error is razor-thin. The entire aviation world watched, hoping for a miracle. Section 6. Gliding toward hope. Inside the cockpit, Captain Stevens and First Officer Jackson worked with the precision of a synchronized swim team, except the stakes were infinitely higher. They adjusted the plane's flaps, searching for that sweet spot, that delicate balance between lift and drag that would buy them precious time and distance. Every second felt like an eternity. The ground, once a distant tapestry of browns and greens, loomed larger with every passing moment, still too far. Section 7. The Wheels of Fate. Through a combination of skill, luck, and maybe even a little divine intervention, Captain Stevens spotted it, a small, abandoned airstrip about 20 miles out. It wasn't much, but it was their only shot. He banked the plane, his heart pounding against his ribs like a jackhammer. "Brace for impact!" The captain's voice boomed through the cabin. The plane dipped lower, the abandoned airstrip growing larger and larger in the windshield. People screamed, people prayed. I held my breath. Section 8. Touchdown and Aftermath. The landing was rough, the kind of landing that makes you kiss the ground, even if you're not the praying type. The plane bounced, skidded, and finally lurched to a stop, its tires smoking, its fuselage groaning in protest. We had made it. Emergency vehicles flooded the runway, their lights painting the tarmac in a dizzying kaleidoscope of red and blue. Paramedics rushed aboard, their faces etched with a mixture of relief and disbelief. We were alive. Against all odds, we were alive. Section 9. Lessons learned. The investigation into Flight 127's near disaster revealed a perfect storm of errors, a faulty fuel gauge that misled the pilots about the actual fuel levels in the aircraft. This seemingly minor issue set off a chain of events that could have ended in tragedy. A miscalculation in pre-flight checks compounded the problem. The crew, relying on the faulty gauge, did not realize the aircraft was underfueled. This oversight was not just a simple mistake but a critical error that highlighted the importance of thorough and accurate pre-flight procedures. And then, there was a dash of bad luck, an unexpected weather change that forced the plane to divert from its original course, consuming more fuel than anticipated. Heads rolled, new protocols were implemented, and the aviation industry, as it always does, learned from its mistakes. This incident led to a comprehensive review of fuel management systems and pre-flight checklists, ensuring that such an error would not happen again. But beyond the technical glitches and procedural oversights, Flight 127 was a powerful reminder of the fragility of life. The importance of staying calm under pressure cannot be overstated. The pilots, despite the mounting challenges, maintained their composure and focused on the task at hand. Their training and experience were put to the ultimate test, and they rose to the occasion, demonstrating the critical role of human judgment and skill in aviation safety. The incredible skill and bravery displayed by pilots every single day often go unnoticed. These professionals are trained to handle the most stressful situations with precision and grace. It was a reminder that sometimes the difference between life and death is measured in feet and seconds. The pilots' quick thinking and decisive actions were instrumental in averting disaster. In the hands of highly trained professionals doing their damnedest to defy gravity and get everyone home safe, we place our trust. And for those of us lucky enough to walk away from that abandoned airstrip, it was a reminder to never, ever take a safe landing for granted. Each flight is a testament to the dedication and expertise of countless individuals working behind the scenes to ensure our safety. From the engineers who design the aircraft to the maintenance crews who keep them in top condition, and the air traffic controllers who guide them through the skies, aviation is a collaborative effort. The lessons learned from Flight 127 will continue to shape the industry, making air travel safer for everyone.